Hey, welcome to Couch Chats. I'm your host, Bex. I have Stephen with me on the couch today from All in Sync. He's a high pressure coach. We had a chat a couple of weeks ago, which went on for a couple of hours. So I thought, what better way than to continue this conversation on the couch today? So thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Bex.
Awesome.
I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy for you to be here. Yeah, I know. It's really exciting. So tell me a bit about All in Sync, how it started and who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Stephen. I founded All in Sync a couple of years ago now, just based on All in Sync. I'll give you the 30-second rundown on All in Sync.
The elevator
pitch, that's right. So basically All in Sync helps people navigate high pressure situations. So similar to, a high pressure coach, performance coach, but not with the outcome. So more about the journey through that situation to the outcome. So dealing with the bits in between where people may feel awkward, pressure, uncomfortable, maybe not even understanding how they're going to reach that goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that happens through work too, right? Work, sport.
Yeah. Yeah. And so high pressure situations, I know you come from a sport background predominantly, but a high pressure situation for me might be different to someone else. So
totally.
Is that what you've experienced in your coaching?
Yeah. So my background, lived experience, I'm from a corporate background in the automotive trade. We have 6 degrees.
Both from automotive, yeah.
I've been around professional sport and development of young people coming through in the rugby league scene. And also I've spent the last few years in men's mental health charity organisation too. So I got a bit of a broad background about what people suffer from and how they may feel in different situations. And it can be, a younger person feeling under pressure from, a test, HSC. Yeah, like that. Yeah. That's a killer for some of the kids out there. And the pressure that they put themselves under to be successful and get into uni or the career that they're looking to get into. The rugby league scene, so with the ultimate goal being, I want to play for the in the NRL for a certain club or just play NRL. So it's the kids coming through with such a big group of kids coming through and each time getting cut and but really wanting to stick to that dream and get there. It doesn't always happen.
And that's an important role for you to play, to help them on that journey, to understand even if they get rejected the first time, doesn't mean that they're going to keep getting rejected. Or they may get rejected a few times until they get to that goal. That it's navigating the emotions along the way of that journey as well, right?
That's where All in Sync actually started because we had a couple of kids one night at training. I was with Western Suburbs, the West Tigers, and I was with Harold Matt, so we had 17s, the 17-year-old boys. And 2 of them on the same night for different reasons spoke to me about suicide.
Yeah.
So, they wanted to hurt themselves based on the fact that one didn't get picked for that weekend's game and the other one had suffered an injury that was going to be pretty long term and decided that was the end of his dream, right? So,
and that's a hard age in itself. I have 3 sons. 2 now that are older and been through that teenage journey, and I have one in that teenage journey now, and there's so many hormones involved as well, which throw your chemicals off.
Yeah, I guess from my perspective, being a male, I can relate to some of that too.
Yeah, being a female is a different journey. We won't talk about that, but it's such a vulnerable age. For male or female.
A lot of learning and understanding themselves,
Yeah, so they're trying to work out where they fit into the world. They're trying to navigate these hormones and emotions that are coming up. And I guess for men, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm a female, so I'm not speaking on behalf of men, but it's frowned upon to sort of show emotions as much as women. So that's right, to reach out and say, hey, I need some help. So it's sad that their choice or their thought went straight to that instead of I can reach out and get some help from someone.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I guess kudos to them because they spoke up and we did have a conversation about that and it didn't go in that direction and they're still playing now. So, it all worked out. But in that moment, when you ask where did that pressure come from and why are you making this choice? Or because mum and dad wanted me to do this or, I really want to play NRL now, I'm not playing football and, it's just so intense for them at that time.
Yeah.
And that's, where All in Sync got created. Yeah. So it was helping people navigate those situations and letting them understand what's around them and the tools that there is available to them to be still moving forward to be successful in that career or that goal that they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and that's why we need to encourage that conversation more around people reaching out and asking for help and knowing it's okay that you can hire someone else to help you on your journey, that you don't need to navigate these situations by yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's tough and it's challenging, and an outsider perspective, especially in a professional space, is the right way to navigate that.
Yeah, I think the network thing that we're talking about now, where we reach out and talk to people, is really important. I think there's a couple of avenues that people don't normally think about, and that's, you know, you have your immediate family and friends that you can rely on to go and have a conversation with. You've got, you know, business people or who you're around in that role. So if it's football, the coaching staff, or if you're in a corporate job, you've got other mentors, I'm sure, that are in that environment that can help you through, and then you can go and get paid professional help too. So there's another network out there that we may not always remember. Yeah.
So what would you recommend for people who probably don't have anyone in their corner? Worst case scenario, been there, done that. You feel completely isolated, that you don't have a network to reach out to, and you don't even know where to start in hiring a professional.
Yeah, I guess for me, we'll talk about another lived experience when I went through a divorce, and that was pretty devastating for me. That was quite a journey. I think I found myself through that. Yeah, it was challenging for sure. I went through some ups and downs, and, you know, good times and bad times through all that. And I think one of the biggest things for me, I jumped on the internet, Google, everyone's friend, and just started looking around. And at the time, there wasn't many organisations that were there to help men in going through mental health challenges. So and just to speak to and get guidance from and have a chat about things. So I did find a place called Mentoring Men.
Okay.
Which was the charity I worked for a number of years, 3 years there. And when I found Mentoring Men, I had to volunteer and help out, because I know from my own experience that wasn't there. So I think we're probably getting better at providing more professional services to people that need it in different areas. The men's health one was just my personal experience, you know, to answer your question. But I think in that space is getting better too.
Yeah. I think, you know, jumping on social media is a good way, and finding someone that you kind of resonate with. Yeah. I think that's important too, because you need to click with the person that you're hiring as well.
Yeah. We're both on TikTok and everything.
Oh, yeah, I'm all over social media. Everyone knows I'm all over social media. That's a whole other story.
So you can...
Maybe don't look for me on social.
Yeah, no, maybe not. I don't know.
Some of my TikToks are questionable, but that's okay.
It is actually.
Stop it. Are you entertained though?
I just scroll.
You're like, yes, I am entertained. Don't lie to me.
I'll find the next dance that looks similar anyway.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
But I haven't had an issue. If there's someone that's interesting, you know, you can reach out and message, and they're always responding too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, there's a couple of conversations you can have just on the back of making a comment or reaching out to someone that's in that space too.
Definitely.
Socials are a good one as well.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of free advice floating around as well, but it's picking and choosing which one works for you, because what works for me isn't going to work for you.
Yeah.
So it's taking the tools, playing with them, seeing which one works for you, and then making that part of your journey.
And some of it can be tedious too. So
it's hard work. It's hard work.
Psychologists is an example of that. You might have to see 4 or 5 psychologists before you find the one that you know you can relate to and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And get the results that you're after.
And you may not even go down that traditional sense. You might think outside the box and go a more holistic approach to your healing journey as well. Which again, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah, totally. Earthing.
Whatever heals you.
So these are all tools that we've got, right, with navigating different situations, especially around, you know, if you're under pressure. Football, just be present. And you know, if we're doing that on the field, it might be just take a big breath, let the energy go out through your feet to the ground, and then get on with it, you know. So, or it can be, you know, in another situation, you might go on a beach for a day or for a half hour or whatever you can do. You might go to the gym and spend half an hour at the gym, and
that's a therapy session right there, right? Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. There's a lot of free things, free tools that can help you. So a lot of people associate the healing process with an expense.
Yeah.
But simple things like breathing techniques are very effective.
Yep. Yep.
Putting your feet in the ocean or on the sand, sitting there in silence for 5 minutes. People go, oh, meditation. I can't, I'm not
I hate meditation.
I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it. I suck
just
at meditation because I have a brain that goes a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
So I don't try and meditate anymore. I just go and sit and I let my thoughts just go.
I will zone out with metal music in my head.
Yeah.
Go for a walk. It sounds strange, but I think
No, I do that
I
too.
have a creative mind, so it's constantly on the go. And
Yeah.
I think that puts me in a place where I can zone out and just cruise along and get my thoughts together. So
I do that at the gym. My music, I mean, there's music in the gym, but I have music in my headphones and it is so loud.
yeah,
And my playlist is quite bipolar.
Yeah.
It goes from like, you know,
mine's a little bit the same. I was going to say,
Yeah.
don't judge me because I said metal.
mine's
music.
crazy. Yeah. And I mean, I'm like gangster rap and then it's like hardcore metal and then it's like some airy fairy like meditation music.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do is hop in the car and just turn the volume up.
How good is that? Sing at the top of your lungs. I do that.
I don't necessarily.
I
do that.
dance and
I've
sing.
seen a lot of people do that.
Oh, you would have seen me for sure. Driving down the freeway, singing at the top of my lungs,
Yeah.
dancing. Yeah. I'm not ashamed.
Makes me smile though.
I'm not
I see
sorry
someone.
about it. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably me or someone like me doing that. Yeah. Even walking home from the gym yesterday, I had music in my ears and I was just like dancing down the street. I didn't even realize at first. I went, oh, okay. And then people were honking. I'm like, okay, I've made someone happy today.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I look like an idiot, but that's okay. As long as someone is smiling on the other side of things, I
That's
think
right.
they're doing
That's
that.
right. Created a story for someone.
Exactly. They would have gone then and said, hey, I saw this chick walking down the street dancing by herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't end up on TikTok.
It might have.
It might.
How do you know that I'm not on TikTok going viral
that's
right now
right,
for that?
that's right.
Yeah, you never know.
Repost and follow everyone.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But back to like the football situation and the high pressure coaching around that must be tricky to navigate a room full of testosterone at times.
Yeah, I guess as a trainer, I had an advantage because a lot of the conversations happened one-on-one when it was strapping or maybe some rehab stuff and in the gym. It was very rare that I had to. I mean, I did do presentations to the group around different things, but when it came to the pressure and what they were feeling, I think they felt more comfortable with that one-on-one conversation away from the group. It's still that man thing, I think, that masculine thing where they don't feel as comfortable being vulnerable in front of a group of their peers, you know. But
And that's the thing about, you know, we talk about being masculine. There's nothing wrong with crying and still being masculine. And I think we need to change the perception around that.
yeah, totally.
Is that crying or showing emotions or
Just start
being
now and say,
vulnerable?
I've cried.
Can you please cry for me now?
No,
Not like on
it's
cue.
not going to
No.
happen like that.
But it doesn't take away from you being a man, and that's what we need to realize.
Yeah,
it's all
totally,
part of human behavior and having emotions and having feelings, and there's nothing wrong with sharing that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I find as women, we tend to get away with crying a lot more,
yeah, totally.
whereas it's changing for men, but it's still,
It's got a long way to go.
it does. It has a long way to
The
go.
perception around masculinity is definitely changing.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and I think it's got a lot to do with, I think you and I have had this conversation already, but around, you know, empowering women and women, you know, getting better roles and sharing the you know, the load in the family and putting food on the table and bringing money into the home
Yeah.
has really questioned some guys. Like, some guys are not comfortable with that situation, and so
Yeah.
they feel a little bit lost. And
I'm definitely a female that probably gets men questioning their masculinity.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, because I'm a very strong woman. I'm very independent.
yeah,
Yeah.
can intimidate a
It does
person or-
intimidate a lot of people. I know a lot of people aren't comfortable with that because I don't need someone. And I think that's part of the problem too, is that women like me don't actually need a man anymore. So they're like, where do we fit in? And it's not, when I say we don't need someone, doesn't mean we don't want someone.
Correct. Yeah.
But-
yeah.
By not needing someone, you're also, I feel as though we're taking the pressure off men to a certain point as well, maybe putting more pressure on ourselves. But it's trying to find that balance, right? And it's understanding that women are now playing a bit of a different role than they did historically. Things have changed a lot.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
we weren't allowed to vote at one point. I'm not going to get on a feminist talking, but But yes, women are in the workforce now. Women can be the main provider, and the man can be the stay-at-home parent as well, and helping men navigate that situation a little bit better, to understand that we're not taking something away from you. You still have a place. We all have a place. It's just a bit more equality around.
It's a struggle for some men more than others.
I understand that.
Yeah. And they're the ones that are insecure about it are probably the ones that are commenting and kicking up a stink about the feminine movement. But
it's hard for some women to be stay-at-home parents, which it was for me. I love my children, but I don't want to just stay at home every day doing that. I want a career, I want a job, I want to earn my own money as well. So
masculinity is something that's shifting as well.
Yeah, and that's a great tool to have to help navigate those situations, is, by having more conversations around that as well. Won't get down the path of relationship.
No.
I think also every relationship's different.
That's podcast, I think.
I think that's a whole other episode, but again, what works for your relationship and what works for you as a couple, or that's what you need to focus on, not the standards of society.
There's a pressure in that, so another form of pressure and having to deal with that and how to deal with it. And there's a lot of guys out there, a lot of people that aren't in touch with their emotions or can't respond in a positive way when they're under that pressure, feeling angry or whatever. And, another touchy subject is that DV thing, right?
We spoke about this. We spoke about DV. And you were surprised for me to say that I know that it's not just women that are the victim of DV, that men are also a victim of DV.
Yeah, well, not so surprised, but it's not something that is openly discussed all the time.
Correct.
I'm often having discussions with my partner as well about how to articulate this in a way that it's meant to be and that it's helpful, right? So I find that the statistics are real, right? And no one can argue about the data that we've collected, but it's also the data that you don't see that is just as important. And I think, if we were to help men earlier in the process of being able to understand their emotions and respond differently, then maybe the outcome of the data that we do see would be different. Again, I'm not saying we'd fix it, but I think we could help reduce some of the trauma that is going on in the background.
And if we can, and obviously you're wanting to raise awareness for men's mental health, you're an advocate for that. I believe is that we can help men's mental health, and maybe we can stop certain cycles like DV. Obviously we need to educate and empower women as well, and that's why I'm all about independence, education, women having their own finances and having choices. But also educating men that it's okay to show emotions instead of just putting up a fist. Like, have a conversation, reach out, get some help, learn to navigate your feelings, your emotions.
Learn to walk away from each other.
And women raising men. I have a very important role raising 3 sons. And I feel a lot of pressure with that as well. I try so hard to show them what women can do, but also show them what men can do, and try and navigate the right way of doing that as well. And letting them know it's okay to cry. Raising sons, it's like, what? It's okay to cry. Pick up the phone, talk to me. You're not alone. There's choices. Be who you are. Own your sexuality, own who you are. And you don't need to fit in the box.
Be who you are,
just be who you want to be.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
I know with my son, I've been different to the way I was raised, right? So I've raised him slightly different, where he can just cry and we can have the conversation about how we're feeling, and he can say, I feel sad, or I'm angry, or I'm happy, or whatever. And that's exciting for me, but I want to go beyond that, and I want to see, him have a grandson, hopefully, and be able to sit there where that's just normal and doesn't have to be,
we're not having these conversations now encouraging people to say that this is okay. It's just okay.
Won't get a hug out of my dad, right? So my dad will shake my hand and I'll say, love you. He goes, yeah, I know. And that's that generation, right? So with my son now, we can hug, kiss, love you, dad. And be on our way. The next one I want just to be natural and normal, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, I see my sons with their dad, and it's all like hugging and, and they're still like gym guys or rah, 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 but then it's hugging,
flex and then hug.
Yeah, flex and hug.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's exactly like that. And, like my youngest son would kiss his dad on the mouth and things like that. I know there's like, but that's the relationship, and it's such a beautiful thing that
Yeah.
he can do that with his dad. Obviously, he's grown out of that now, but it's a really beautiful thing that they can show emotions and feelings and hug and
Totally.
encourage that.
You just do you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whatever form that may be. And in the space of men's mental health, I know you spent some time, we said volunteering.
With a charity, well, firstly with a charity for 12 months, and then I was a paid employee from that charity for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I was looking after the men reaching out for help, as well as men who were volunteering their time to help. And it was basically in a preventative and support space for men's mental health. And, it was a one-on-one mentoring program, so that we'd match one man with lived experience with a man that was going through whatever that challenge was. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was a
And how was that?
Yeah, it was good. That was exciting. I helped thousands of men in the time that I was there, and that excites me, that we gave someone a different perspective on what they were going through, an opportunity to learn from that and get through that challenge, more importantly, and be safe on the other side. And we've talked about all the suicidal statistics, where at the moment the data suggests 9 people each day here in Australia, commit suicide or take their life, I think is what we would say. But 7 of those are men. Yeah. So that's been around. We had this chat. It's been around since we started collecting data. So it's pretty significant. It's bad enough that 2 women took their life today, but 7 men to do that is just crazy.
That's right. I mean, it's sad anyone who's taking their life, but unfortunately the statistics show that it is a lot more men at this stage, and that's where we need to help.
That's that shift. That's that change. It's about being able to talk about what we're going through and share. And while I was at Mentoring Men, I had the opportunity to start community groups. So there's a Manly men's group and there's a Paddington men's group now. So there's a group.
Oh, when you're saying Manly, I was thinking like Manly. Yeah, the suburb Manly.
But that was good because the office is in Manly. But we did say, how are we going to come up with this name? Go Manly Men's Group.
I love that. Yeah.
There's a little bit of something there. And then if anyone asks, you say, what makes a man, right? So we can talk about that. That's
and what do you think makes a man?
It's everything we've been talking about. I think it's being open to be vulnerable and have that conversation, and on the back of that, ask questions, be open to the answer and learn and grow from that. I think that's what it is. Be respectful to everyone the best way you can.
And as a man, what pressures do you think were put on you that affected your mental health?
Oh, that is.
You don't have to answer that.
Another episode. I think it's got a lot to do with your upbringing to start with, and I've had my own experience with my upbringing, so I know how that's affected me later on in life through the work that I've done with counsellors and psychologists and things like that. And I've got a few learnt behaviours or traits now that on the back of what I went through, and including the divorce, I guess. But there's a lot of I'll use some terms that probably get used a lot in our space, the coaching space. So a lot of people pleasing traits where, because I was, because of the upbringing that I had, you all of a sudden you want to make sure everything's okay because I'm scared if it's not going to be okay, something could happen, So you all of a sudden, doesn't matter what I need right now, it's about what the other person needs. So a lot of people pleasing stuff going on.
Do you think as a man, the pressure to provide is something that does affect your mental health or not?
It would affect people's mental health. For me, I just worked in a charity, Rebecca, so I'm not sure that I had the ability
to in your relationship though, as a dad, as a husband, in that
I would suggest early on, definitely, but since my divorce and I've got a new partner, that it doesn't affect me at all.
That's just helping me understand a men's perspective around that, because I know for some men they like that.
Yeah.
Like they like to be that provider. They want to be that. So it's understanding if that is a pressure thing or if that's something that is more beneficial for them to be. I guess it's down to an individual person as opposed to a broad.
Yeah. I think the main difference for me with my new partner, our communication is spot on. So we do have conversations around what the expectations are, right? So
What a conversation to be had. How many relationships are lacking something as simple as a conversation about expectation versus reality?
Yeah, and you have serious conversation, and we put time aside for those, and then sometimes you'll just go, before we go in, I'm paying half, or I'm paying my share, or your share, or whatever. So
Yeah.
you just know what's on the table before, and it's easy.
Yeah. That's a whole other conversation about dating and
I'll leave
who's
that.
paying what.
You
and
can keep that.
yeah, no, because I have this conversation a lot because obviously I'm single.
Yeah.
And I really date, but if I was, there's a different expectation about like who's paying for what, and I'm very traditional, so
Yeah. So that means he's paying
yeah.
for everyone else.
Yes, I'm saying that he's paying. But the reason for this is I've been in a relationship where I was taken advantage of financially. So for me, if I'm going to be dating someone, that's a protective thing for me. I want to know that they're not coming after me for something. So that's the reason behind that. There's more depth to that than just he's got to pay. I want to know what he's bringing to the table to protect myself financially as well.
Yeah.
And I also have children to raise. I'm not going to raise another as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's from my past learnt experience, and people can take that however they want.
Yeah.
I'm open to criticism about all of that. You can go nuts on TikTok, which I'm sure people will.
Let's not criticise, just make nice friendly comments.
Yeah, but again, everyone has a different opinion on this. If I was talking to my sons, which I've had this conversation, I'm contradicting myself here as well, and I'm very aware of this.
Yeah.
My son, who's 14, went to the movies with a girl, and I said, "Did you pay for her?" And he goes, "No." And I'm like, "Good, because you shouldn't be."
He's got to ask the same question then.
But, well, I think at a certain age, when you're children and you're both at school, that's a different situation. But I'm 42 years old. I'm a grown woman. We're in a grown space now.
He's paying. Is that what you...
Sorry, but otherwise I'm good at... Yeah, anyway, let's move on from that conversation because that's just going to go downhill very quickly. But that's...
Half your male audience has got a comment.
like that. Please, if you want to take me on a date and pay... Yeah,
reach out.
I'm open for it. Yeah. But back on the space of all in sync, high pressure coaching, and talk me through some of the things that you would do in coaching a high pressure situation, maybe to do with football, or it might just be in a broad spectrum.
Yeah, so a normal coaching session, if someone reached out and wanted to engage in a coaching session, the first thing that we need to understand is obviously where's the pressure coming from? What's the goal? What's the dream?
And what we said before is that high pressure for me is different from you. And for people that are thinking, oh, I don't need a high pressure coach, well, maybe you do, because a high pressure situation for you might be walking out your front door to your car to go to work.
It could be.
Right.
You can ring me if that's your one, because I reckon we could work through that one.
But that can be a high pressure situation for someone who's got debilitating anxiety.
Yeah, totally.
For example.
Totally. It could be a corporate environment where someone's being told they have to achieve, an outcome in a certain amount of time.
I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like. And my $18 million budget for the year.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. So if you've got one of those, take her out for
please.
Yeah. So it's understanding the goal first. And then it's really allowing them to sit down and understand the structure of what that looks like and break it down and how we're going to achieve that goal. Mm-hmm. Corporate's pretty easy normally, right? Because you can understand the steps you've got to take to get to that end goal. But for someone who hasn't been there, like, a young boy or young girl looking to make a career.
Well, it's a high school situation more so than anything. Yeah.
Sport, it could be, or high school. They don't know. So they're sort of relying on you to give them a little bit of advice on what you've already seen from your own experience.
Yeah.
But they should sort of know what they want to achieve and how to get there. And
I find at that age, though, it's really hard. People used to always say to me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I used to make stuff up because I had no idea.
I think that's a different question.
Why should I know when I'm a child? But you're talking about goals and outcomes.
Yeah.
In a sporting sense, a child might have a goal, like my son, to play football for his local team, and that might escalate into, I don't know anything about football, we've established this. But you know what I'm saying and where I'm going with this. But in terms of what they want out of their life as a whole, like, how do you navigate that? Because they don't know at that age.
Yeah, I wouldn't be having that discussion. That's
Right,
what they would come to me for. It'd be a specific thing. So if it's like the
sporting,
HSC,
HSC, right?
I want to be an NRL player, or or I want to succeed in the HSC this year, or
Right. Yeah.
It could be a corporate thing where I've been given a plan or a 6-month goal to achieve this. I'm not sure how to do that.
Yeah.
And they start to suffer with that.
Yes.
And pressure, I guess. What is pressure? Pressure is basically, your mind forecasting a future that doesn't even exist yet.
Yes. Which, a lot of coaches will tell you to think in the now, think in the moment, which is great, but you do have to think about that long-term goal and perspective. But I guess the idea around that is to focus on the now and the small steps along the way to get you to that goal. Have that goal in mind. It's in your focus, but that's not where everything is going, because it hasn't happened yet. And between A and B, a lot of things are going to change on that journey and along the way. So it's bringing it back to more of that present moment, focusing on what you can control now, and then moving forward.
Yeah, and then also, I suppose on the back of that is having that structure and putting a structure in place on what a month might look like and what a week would look like and a day would look like. And I know with professional sport, there's some key things that people should be doing, and sleep would be one of them, right? So
healthy diet, exercise,
8 hours sleep,
hydration.
So you start talking to the kids and you go, okay, it's 24 hours in a day. You need 8 hours sleep, right? So that's gone.
That's a big one.
I've got 16 hours left in the day. What else do I need to do? I have to go to school. Oh, there's 6 hours gone in the day. How many have I got left? 10. Right. So that's how you have to approach these sort of things and go, how many of those hours are daylight times? And I've still got to go to training. 3 hours for training. Okay, I've got to do some homework. So then all of a sudden.
That's it. When you actually sit down and break up someone's day and map it out for them.
Yeah.
It can, that in itself can be overwhelming. I fit a lot into my days, whereas I come across a lot of people that I don't have time for this and I don't have time for that. As if you actually sat down and looked at their day and what they were spending time on, could that time be used more effectively?
Yeah.
Are they up?
Can I adjust it?
Can I adjust it?
Yeah.
Can I swap watching Netflix for 3 hours for something more productive?
Yeah, that's right.
Like going for a walk or going to bed earlier, or for people who do like meditating and all that sort of stuff, there's other things that you could be doing.
Yep.
Or working on a business idea or a side project.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
Yeah, which, I've been there myself, where I've self-sabotaged.
Yeah.
And I've spent hours binging on Netflix. I have this whole list of things I want to do over here.
Or procrastinating. Just
Yeah.
a blank piece of paper.
Yeah, so there's a whole list of to-dos over here, and I'm over here. I'm binging for hours watching Netflix. And,
yeah. It's easy to do.
It's easy to do.
Yeah, but having a schedule, I think, is that's important.
That accountability as well.
Yeah,
and having someone who's there to say, "What did you do yesterday?"
That's where we come into
exactly. That's
play.
That's my point. That's what a coach is there for.
Yeah.
'Cause I think a lot of people don't understand the role of a coach or a mentor or what they do, and it can be hard to be a self-motivator. I'm a highly motivated person, but I also have times where I find it hard to motivate myself because you get in a little bit of a slump. Things aren't going the way you expected, so you kind of spiral a little bit downhill. And having a coach or a mentor there is someone who can hold you accountable and bring you back into line.
And it's always easier when you've got someone in your corner, right?
Exactly. A little bit of a pep talk saying, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay that yesterday you needed to have a day and rest and sleep, but let's be more productive today.
And it is a small investment, right, in the overall scheme of things, to get yourself a coach or something.
Yeah, exactly. When we look at what we waste our money on.
Times are tough, and interest rates have changed, and inflation and things like that. But still, investing in yourself is probably a better investment than some others that people are choosing at the moment as well.
Well, when you invest in yourself and you are good within yourself, then you become better for other people, and it's a follow-on effect.
Yeah.
So you're not just investing in yourself, you're investing in those around you as well. I know as a mum, when I'm investing myself and I'm good mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially, that is something that, when your cup's full, it overflows to those around you. So that's the importance of investing in yourself and bringing yourself up so you can show up for other people the way that you need to, whether that's in professional sporting sense. If they didn't invest in themselves, how are they going to show up for their team?
Yeah,
and
yeah, for
perform
everybody else.
the way that they should.
Corporate world too, right?
Corporate world,
Managers.
parenting,
Yeah.
school.
Yep.
If they're not showing up for themselves,
Yeah.
they're not going to perform as well
Yep.
in their HSC.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So yeah, I think structure is one. The other thing that, I'm a big fan of is getting away from all that too. So, yes, we're focused on this end goal, but we don't have a lot of time for ourselves sometimes too. So it's that we spoke
Yeah.
about it earlier. What do I do for half an hour every day to remove myself from all the noise and everything else that's going on? So
Yeah.
that's a big thing.
But that's where that actually needs to be worked into that plan as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And I had to work that into my own plan
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I forgot about myself for a long time.
Yeah.
Parents, we often do that when we're working full time, working on businesses on the side. And so that's something that I had to put that side away for myself now, whether that's go to the gym, whatever it is, go for a half an hour walk along the beach or just sit in silence.
Yeah.
Could be just going for a drive in your car.
Yep.
Something so simple like that. I love locking myself in my car. It's like my own little bubble, music's on, just go for a quick drive,
Yep.
decompress from the day.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, that in itself is a good thing to do.
You've got to figure out what that is for you, right? You can't
That's right. These are just some ideas, but
You never hear me say to someone, "Oh, you need to go meditate," or "You need to do this."
no, that's right. And I say I don't say that either. And that's where I've experienced coaches coming in saying you need to take cold showers, you need to do this, and I'd be like, I hate cold showers. They're making me angry. They're like,
right.
no, you need to do it. No, I don't, because it makes me angry.
Yeah.
It's not helping me.
Yeah.
So why do I need to do this? And it was like mental strengthening and conditioning. But you know what? There's other ways to do that don't actually make me want to rage.
Sometimes it's hard too, right? Someone's had a good experience, and then next thing they're trying to push that onto everybody else because it works for me. It might not work for everybody else. So you've got to find your own little thing. Or it could be playing guitar, anything. Could be Netflix. Could be sitting on your PlayStation.
Yeah, and that's right. I mean, I have brought up obviously wasting time. But if that's, if you allow that as like your self-care routine, as long as it's not something that's consuming other parts of what you need to do, like if that's your half an hour or an hour that you put aside for yourself, that's okay.
Yeah.
But those things become a problem when it's like 8-10 hours and you're not doing everything else in your day that you need to do.
Yeah. The things that help my mind is definitely outside. So
I'm an outdoorsy person too, but I do have times where I just, at the end of the night, I will watch a movie on Netflix.
Yeah.
And that's my way to wind down because I'm laying in bed, I'm relaxing, it's my time, and that's just how I wind down as well. I've already been to the gym, I've already done my work, I've already, done all the other things in the day that I need to do. That's my little guilty pleasure.
Getaway.
Yeah, it's my getaway. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, but other than that, I mean, they're fundamentals, I think. And then on the back of that, we have to measure against some of those goals and the structures and make sure it's all working, holding them accountable. And
I had something really interesting that I saw on TikTok today. There's a lot of good on there as well, so let's not, slam it. But it was someone talking about coaches doing like shadow work and things like that. And I want to know your opinion about shadow work and encouraging people to delve into trauma.
delve into it.
Yeah, like to.
So what did you see? Tell me what.
So do you know what shadow work is?
No, I haven't heard of shadow work.
Okay, right. Okay, so what shadow work is basically going back to your trauma and facing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're encouraging you to go back to that childhood trauma or what caused you like PTSD.
Yeah.
And by confronting it, you're like releasing it, acknowledging it, and then the idea is to move on from it.
Yep.
And so someone was talking about that today, saying that can be really bad for some people as well.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm wanting to know, but you've never heard of shadow work before.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because this will be my opinion straight off.
That's
the
more
top
of
here.
a spiritual side. Like there's so many different sides to coaching, right?
Yeah, and I feel like most people have probably buried that.
Well, that's it. And you're digging it up.
So, yeah, and
You're
you're
digging it up,
So for
which can
me-
be detrimental in so many ways, but also,
Yeah, there's two sides to that. 'Cause
There's
I
two
feel like
sides
it could
to
be
it.
healthy
yeah,
to unpack what that issue was at the time and
yeah,
to help you maybe change your behavior around people as an adult or someone that post that trauma, but then unpacking it could, for that time, while they're unpacking it, that could be pretty devastating for them and who's around them at the time too.
So I've been the person who's had to unpack.
Yep.
And it's very challenging, and I feel like you do need to be prepared for it because it brings up a lot of shit.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on it then?
I think that if you are going to do that, you need to be in a very safe space and have a lot of support around you.
Yep.
Which I don't feel like I had.
Yep. Yeah. So it wasn't the right time.
But for me, I am a very strong person anyway. But for people who aren't as strong, it could go either way.
Yep. Yep.
So I feel like it's something that you need to have a lot of support around if you are going to do that, and doing it the right way and maybe a little bits at a time, and having the right tools then to pull you back from unpacking that. But by unpacking that, it's let go of a huge weight that was weighing me down as well.
Yeah, so you good.
So there's that flip side to it.
Yep.
So for me, there was a benefit. It's hard, it's challenging to face that stuff that's caused it. But then when you do and you let it go, there's just this lightness about you.
Yeah. So it goes back to what we said at the start about having that network of people around you in the beginning to make you through it. Yeah.
But it's always interesting to see other people's different perspectives, and that's the first time I've sort of heard anything like against that this morning. But it's always good to look at different perspective and understand where people are coming from, and understand that may, again, not be the right thing for someone at that time.
Yeah. Well, coaching is very much about understanding past experiences.
And I think sometimes if you're maybe just starting out on the healing journey, that unpacking that shit straight away is maybe not the right time. Like, first, let's give you the tools to handle situations better, and then start. Yeah,
well, I guess I said before too, what's pressure? And I said it's your past experiences forecasting a future that doesn't exist yet. And I think that's that whole thing about being called out of assembly to go see the principal and, and sitting about off
so many times to me.
Yeah. But I think people can relate to that. Or how do you feel when the boss goes, come see me now, and there's nothing post that comment, right? It's just full stop.
So this is a conversation I've actually had to have with a past employer who would call me and he's like, I need to meet you at this time right then. And I would have a panic attack.
Yeah.
And I had to have a conversation with him that I was experiencing anxiety.
Yeah.
And by having that conversation, he's like, I'm so sorry, my daughter has anxiety and I understand. Yeah. So he knew from then to say, hey, Beck, I'm meeting you for this reason. So then I wasn't overthinking it for days leading up to this, because I would work myself up thinking, am I going to be fired? Like, what's going on? And it could be something like, oh, he was doing really well. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But at that time, I was experiencing a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
And so by having that healthy conversation with someone to help them understand how I was feeling, helped him then navigate those meetings moving forward, even if it was something that was, hey, look, you haven't been doing so well in sales, like, let's sit down and have a conversation about this.
Yep.
I was then prepared going into those meetings, and I wasn't, having a meltdown. Yeah. So I think that's the importance of also having a coach or having someone to talk to, is to then help you have conversations with other people around certain situations that you're experiencing and help you navigate that in the best possible way, and setting healthy boundaries with people too.
Yeah. Boundaries, good one.
Which in the workplace can be very challenging with managers in particular.
Yeah.
Setting healthy boundaries.
Yep. That's right.
Yeah.
Understanding your role.
Yeah. And when they're overstepping that, and politely being able to pull them back into their place and saying it's not acceptable.
Yeah.
But it was great having you on today. Thanks so much for coming on and having a chat and learning more about who you are and what you do. And we'll throw some information down below for anyone who wants to get in touch with you to learn about coaching. But thank you so much for coming on today, and I look forward to seeing everyone in the next episode.
Thanks, Beck.
No worries.